sign. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. This is Chat and Chow, where we have lunch with our friends, because that's not really acceptable anymore. It's getting a little bit better, but it's not always permitted, and that's okay. We're having that issue again with all the sound going crazy because I don't do this all the time, so I'm sorry. Hold on. All right. So I'm Tony DeMakis from Alliance Specialties and Laser Sales, where we do all things plastic injection, mold finishing, and repair, which means polishing, mold finishing, laser welding, laser engraving, hot runner manifold cleaning, preventative mold maintenance, and we also sell and engineer laser welding and laser engraving equipment for all the manufacturing industry. So if you need any of those things, if you're having any trouble with your parts, your tooling, or anything else, feel free to give us a call and I will help out. And I promise that is the only and last commercial that you'll get from me in this next hour and change, because I don't want to talk about me. I want to talk about you guys and what you are looking for and what you're needing and the kind of conversations you want to have. And today I'm really excited because I've got somebody who there are people in the industry that like to get involved, and there's people that just like to sit back and do nothing. And this guy is not one of the people that likes to do nothing. He's the 2019 CPIA Young Leader of the Year, 2018 Plastics News Rising Star Under 35, Global Packaging and Plastics Leader, a keynote speaker, a podcast contributor, a fancy schnazzy dresser, and a damn nice guy. Jonathan Quinn, thank you for being part of what we have going on, and welcome to our show. You got to unmute yourself, and then we'll get this baby rolling.
All right. Am I unmuted?
You are unmuted, and we can hear you.
All right. Perfect. No, I'm very, very excited, very happy to be here.
So how's things? How's things in your neck of the world? Where are you guys located?
So I live in Pittsburgh, but I work for Nova Chemicals. We're a polyethylene producer. Majority of our production is in Canada, but as I said, I get the pleasure of living in the sometimes never sunny Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I get that. I think Illinois is just about as bad as Pittsburgh when it comes to the weather. It's not like we're going to North Carolina.
No,
we're Florida.
That's the thing. So I actually moved to Pittsburgh from Chicago. So I wasn't making any steps up as far as weather was concerned with regard to where I lived. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, are you working more remote, or do you ever go in the office?
Yeah. So we have been remote since the 16th of March.
Okay.
And yeah, there's no defined date as far as going back to work. It's looking like it's going to come after June is what I'm expecting right now.
Yeah.
So every day is in the grind in my what was once our formal dining room is now my control center.
I think since March, I've been at the office since, probably 3 weeks into March, for multiple reasons, right? My wife and I were sharing the dining room table, and I don't think it was doing any wonders for our marriage. We love each other, but
yeah,
distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah. And so my wife is actually seeing the reverse of that. So I was always traveling.
Yep.
I mean, for the past 10 plus years, I've flown over 100,000 miles on United. So they sometimes were seeing me more than my wife was. And the other
Yep.
day, I asked my wife if she ever expected to be waking up next to me as many consecutive days as she's been able to during this time. But yeah, it's been crazy from that perspective. But there's been so much positivity that's come from it. Like I was able to see my son's first steps. I was supposed to be
Yep.
traveling that day. Wouldn't have
Yep.
seen, wouldn't have been here for it.
Yep.
Even though my wife's got one corner of the house, I've got the other corner of the house, and then the kids are, because I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, they're kind of in a penned in area to kind of roam free while we both work. So yeah, it's nothing like anybody could have expected.
Yeah, I think the funniest thing to me, if you're gonna look for comedy in COVID, I think the funniest thing to me is, in general, we got what we asked for, but we didn't get what we wanted, right? Where,
Right.
everybody says, I wish I had more time at home. I wish I got to see my kids grow up. I wish I didn't have to be gone all the time. I wish. And we got it. It just turns out it's not really what we wanted. It's just what we asked for.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to soak it all in. I mean, just
Yeah.
appreciate, and I don't know who's going to have a worse case of separation anxiety once things do hopefully go back to normal. Is it going to be me or my kids? When the first time I get on an airplane, I don't know who's gonna feel it worse. My guess is that it's probably going to be me, but we'll see.
Yeah, I've traveled a few times since COVID, and they've been much shorter trips, and it's fine. I mean, they get used to it again. Your kids are young enough. Mine are 14 and 11, where they're kind of. My daughter says she misses me. My son just doesn't like being left alone with two women. So
Well,
he feels outnumbered when that happens.
well, I don't think we've ever talked about this, and I know maybe we'll touch on that. You've got a new employee starting next week, but somebody that I went to high school with and is a good friend is actually, I believe, one of your son's teachers,
No kidding. Who's that?
Matt Moderak.
All right,
Uh,
I'll have to double check with him
it's
and
like
ask him.
the computer business teacher at Hannah, because I think that your son goes to Hannah, right?
My daughter goes to Hannah. My son goes to Prairie Ridge.
So, well, that's where me and Vanessa went, and where Matt went.
Nice,
So, yeah.
nice. So I know. Well, how did you get into this space?
The space of packaging and plastics. So,
Yeah, yeah. I know how I got there. I got there through, just DNA.
yeah,
My father started our business 40 years ago as a mold polishing company. He had been a mold builder, and self-admittedly said he wasn't very good at it. So he had to find other options. They started a company, and 40 years later, here we are doing all the different things that we do. I was pretty much the prodigal son because in junior high and high school, when I would come and work at the shop, my father made it his mission to make me hate it so that I wouldn't carry on in the family business. And I would go to school and get an
yeah,
education and do all that stuff. And what do you know? That didn't work out the way it was supposed to. And here we are coming back and saying, Dad, you know what? I think we could do something awesome with what you've built so far and just pushing it to the next level. But what's your story?
yeah. So mine's a little bit similar. So I have pictures of me in a box of resin when I was 2. I was doing film elongation testing when I was 5 because that's what I thought was the cool thing to do. My dad was a president and CEO of a couple different packaging companies growing up. So my goal, my dream growing up was to one day be in a corner office next to my dad. So that's why I wanted to go to Clemson and study packaging, and which I did. But my dad had a stroke when I was a senior in high school, and is
Okay.
disabled ever since. So I'll never get the chance to work with him. So that's one of the things that one of the things for me that I envy about you is that you get that opportunity. And I know that you don't ever take it for granted, but it's something that's so special and so cool for me. And for anybody that gets to do that, just embrace it. And yeah, I'm sure that there's days where you're like, this sucks. Like, this sucks. Like, I'm still getting yelled at by my dad.
Oh yeah.
But I would love for that. I would love to do that. So my biggest thing, and why kind of maybe pivoting or taking a step further, is one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about creating the next generation and being part of that next generation of leadership, but also continuing to have excitement around packaging and plastics, is so that my daughter and my son, they get excited about it.
Yep.
And I'm really passionate about inclusion and diversity, to make sure that the path for my daughter is there for her as well. So that I get probably a little bit longer winded sort of question or response to your question, but yeah, that's how I've kind of gone along my path. And I wouldn't change my decision, unless somebody offered me the opportunity to maybe start my own clothing company or something like that. Like, I would love to be an Instagram fashionista, but
Yes.
I don't think it's in the cards for me.
I mean, don't sell yourself short. Everybody's got an opportunity now. It's
Yeah.
there, you know, you got as much opportunity as the guy that works out every day. I mean, I don't know. Who am I to say what you can and can't do anymore?
Yeah, for sure.
Nothing makes sense to me. But yeah, I think you're right. I don't take it for granted at all working with my father, with my mother, with my uncle, with my brother. I know there, I mean, let's be honest, there are days where they are days, right? And I want to strangle them. But at the end of the day, if you're gonna go to battle with somebody, who better than your family, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I talk with people who work with their fathers, and they always call them by their first name. I'm working with John. Well, everybody knows that my dad is John, right?
Yeah.
And to me, he's dad, right? So at work, he's dad. Or I'm talking to somebody, I'll say my father does this, and I just don't feel comfortable calling him John, because
Yeah.
I have the opportunity and the privilege to call him dad. So I'm going to do that because I love it. I love being able to do that every single day.
Yeah.
And I know those days are coming closer to an end, because he's coming into the office less often. He wants to step back. He wants to step away. He's dedicated 40 plus years of his life to this company, and even more to the industry. And, he's had enough.
Yeah.
But it's going to be hard to get him out.
Yeah. Well,
Honest, so.
and but I think that you probably have the appreciation, because you went out and you kind of got, call it for lack of a better word, knocked around a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And my dad always said, and my mom disagreed with this approach, but my dad said he would never hire me until I turned 28. That was his. I could come to work when I was 28. He would try and find a spot for me then, but because he wanted me to go out and get knocked around, so that I have an appreciation for it. I don't think that I would necessarily do that with my kids, but now looking back, I see the method to the madness of that, because totally have a genuine appreciation for the benefits, and I think that you have that.
And my father will say that. He'll tell me that the only reason that this is working is because I got screwed, right? Like, so now I have a new appreciation for, like you said, everything that I have going on here. I don't take it for granted, because I know what the reality is.
Right.
And it makes things better.
And I think the big thing that, like, because you got screwed or because you got knocked down. I mean, that's, I think, really the power of people who get knocked down and get back up again, and take the approach to bring that energy and enthusiasm and passion. And I think you were able to kind of channel that and further just the sheer excitement of probably right off the beginning. It wasn't exactly what you wanted, but I think it's picked up momentum probably.
Yeah, and I'm an excitable person by nature. You know, I like to have fun with whatever I'm doing. I think you
Yeah.
don't have to be happy, but you can find joy, right?
Yeah.
And I like to see people succeed. I like to see people be their best in whatever that is. You know, when I would go to all the triathlons and all the other stuff, it was fun to encourage people as they passed you or you passed them, and just, you know, not grunt and grumble, but just say, "Hey, nice job. Keep it up. I'll see you at the end. Let's have a drink." Right. And that's the approach that I try and take with business too, is like, you know, you're going to go to a trade show, and you better enjoy it. You know, you're there, make friends with people, share stories, encourage people, engage, get involved. My wife is watching, and she said, really shocking that I'm excitable. Rich Thiel, who just sold his business, is watching, and he's like, no, you're not excitable at all. But it's who I am. You know, I think too many times people try and contain who they really are to be professional. And you know, you got to be you.
Yeah, you got to be authentic. And that's one of the things in the world of social media, that there is so much inauthenticity.
Yeah.
And I just was having a conversation. So I'm a chair for an organization called Ameripen. And I was just, we're trying to figure out how do we improve our profile on social media. And my point was, we've got to be as authentic as possible. Just be transparent, be who you are.
That's it.
And people will respect you for that. And that's the way I am. I mean, I wear a flower in a pocket square. Why? Because that's me, that's my brand, and everybody knows it. And I'm not going to change. Do I catch crap for it from people? Sure. But I'm not going to change, because that's who I am. And people, I hope, respect me for being me. And I think that's the value around that whole conversation around inclusion and diversity, is just be who you are.
Right.
And people should feel that they can bring their whole self to work, that they can be who they are, because that's going to help progress the organization and the business, and challenge kind of that status quo perspective.
And that's why people want to work with you. They want to work with people that they can be themselves around. I mean, here, for instance, Rich is watching, and on LinkedIn, he says he's been digging on your sleeveless jacket vest thing the entire show. He loves it. It's not, well, and it's not the I could get in trouble, stuffy, plastic, conservative look, right? Where you got to look a certain way. You show up, you got the one color jacket, everybody's got a blue shirt.
Yeah. The blue shirt, you can see that cookie cutter blue shirt, black shoe guy coming from a mile away.
Yeah. And you know that guy already.
And because there's 1,000 of them. So,
right.
So stand out in the crowd and be you.
And everybody says, don't judge a book by its cover. But I came from the design world, right? Like I came from marketing. People spend a lot of time designing that book cover, so you pick it up and read it.
Right.
If the cover didn't matter, they'd all just be white, generic boxes that you used to see at Jewel with the black writing and the green. But that's not what it is. I mean, you got to stand out. You have to peacock a little bit if you want attention.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it comes down to a big thing, is that you don't get a second chance at a first impression. And the
not
first
at all.
impression is the book cover. And it's the wine bottle label. It's a number of things. You don't get at a second chance. And can you overcome things? Sure. But putting forward the best you is what wins.
Yeah. I agree. So let's dig into that inclusion and diversity, because I know that's a big that's a big issue for you.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a big issue for me, number one, because I probably would be the example of somebody that you wouldn't normally expect to be about it. But it's something that I've always been passionate about. Um, and it really, I really have been kind of been working through with Nova on this, um, and the way that we look at it is it's about inclusion and diversity, and that order in which you talk about it is really important, because
Okay.
unless you are an inclusive organization, you can never be a diverse organization. So
Okay.
you first be inclusive before diverse. That's kind of our a little bit of a different spin on it. But it's about, like I said, my daughter is incredibly important to me, and I'll always be a girl dad, and I want to make sure that she has a path to be a part of this industry. I mean, I'm the third generation of my family that's in the plastics and packaging industry. So I want to make sure that she feels welcome, that she can bring her whole self, and I want my son to feel the same. I mean, my brother is in the industry as well. He works for a company in Reno, and he's a packaging engineer. So, but I really feel like there's incredible power in people feeling like they can bring their whole self to work, and their whole kind of differing perspectives, different ideas, and feel like they can challenge the status quo. Because right now within packaging and plastics, is we're being challenged, and we're being challenged from a consumer and public perception situation. But we've got to get and allow people with differing ideas and different perspectives to bring those, and to bring engagement, to bring different ideas, because organizations and industries which are inclusive and diverse are the most profitable organizations, because no idea is a bad idea, and no perspective is the wrong perspective, and really embracing people for their differences and commonalities as well.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I went to college. I was in Sigma Chi, and one of the traits that we had was, looking for people with different temperaments, talents, and convictions, right? And that's what makes your organization strong.
Yeah,
Whether that's a sports team, whether that is business, whatever that is, if you have everybody that's exactly the same, you got one skill set,
yeah,
and it kills you. So, if you only hire people from within the plastics organization, you're missing an external outlook that can help you grow, because you're so stuck in that quagmire, the same thing over and over again, that you got to bring in some new, fresh ideas every once in a while.
right, right.
And I think it's really important to be able to give people that voice, right? Um,
And I think it's important to give the people the voice, but it's also important for people within the organization to be comfortable enough to say, I'm going to embrace somebody bringing different ideas, and not look at them like they're wrong, or that they're just the new guy on the block, or whatever. Because their idea mixed with a person who's well established, and it's a mixing and a blending of ideas, could be the right idea. It's not
yep.
necessarily the one that's way out in left field or the one that's in right field. It's the coming together that brings forward, I think, the best idea, and the best and the greatest progress.
Yeah. We've got two girls here that are laser welding. They're also our only TIG welders, and they're amazing. They're outstanding at it. And we celebrate them for being great at what they're doing.
Mhm.
I recently had Courtney come with me on a sales trip to go demo a laser welder, because she mentioned that she might like to get involved in that. And it's good for us, and it's good for her, right? It's good
Right.
for us that other people see that we are doing that we are being inclusive, that you're not getting the same old all the time. And it's good for her because it grows her opportunities. It makes her more comfortable with going and speaking to people and performing in front of people. Not that welding is performing, but being able to do that and not get stuck or nervous or anything else. And I think all of that is so important for the growth of the individual and for the organization.
Yeah. And I don't know Courtney, but what I would say is that builds up what I would refer to as her emotional bank account.
Yep.
It builds up her tie to Alliance. It builds up, just furthers her excitement around her everyday job. And every day is not rainbows and gumdrops and
Yeah.
candy. I mean, every day isn't easy. And so when those tough days happen, being able to take draws from what I refer to as your emotional bank account, those are what keep driving and keep progressing things forward.
Yeah. And I think, my daughter is 11 years old. I would say her favorite class right now, even though she's not really loving school, is STEM. And she wishes that it was more challenging. She wishes she could do more stuff, she's part of our worship team at church, and she's doing the lights and the computer and running the screens and doing all those different things that, maybe wouldn't be quote unquote traditional girl things. But she's giving it a shot and she's enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I think that the days of the good old boys club are hopefully gone, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's there's always going to be, I think, the good old boys club. And I think the best good old boys club is the one that embraces the next good old boys club. It's the
Yeah.
one, and it's not a good old boys club. It's a call it the good old people club.
Yeah.
Uh, and really those clubs, call them, that embrace that next generation, um, and embrace all different people and different perspectives. Those are true leaders, because those are the people that are in it for what is the most important part of this life that we're all in. And it's all about people and making sure that they advance and that they are on a career path trajectory, but the industry as a whole is going to continue. And it's greater than all just one person.
Yeah. I agree. And I give a lot of credit to people like Christina Fuges, who's been in plastic forever, right? She helped start Mold Making Technology magazine and all the stuff that she continues to do. She's been the one pushing forward on it when
Yeah.
there weren't many women. She was there dominating it. And I think it's awesome. And then you got, Hillary Coombs, taking over with Ray and doing stuff awesome over there. Trish Miller at Matrix 4. All the things that she's doing over there. That's awesome. And, they're making it happen. Right.
Right.
And plastic's not going away anytime soon.
No.
I know that another big pitch that you have is the anti-plastic sentiment.
Yeah. So it is. I mean, like I said, I have pictures of me in a box of resin when I was 2. You could pretty much say that it's in my blood. So I'm really passionate about it. And anybody would argue that I'm biased about it. And I would say, yeah, you're right. But I'm still looking at the facts and I'm still looking at the realities. But that's why I've pushed a hashtag, buy plastic, live fantastic. My wife actually came up with it. I can't take full credit for it. She came up for it. We were at a wedding in Florida, and somebody was asking what I did and whatever, and she said, well, he works for a plastics company. And they looked at us like, how did you even get invited to this wedding? Like, they looked at us like we had 4 eyes or whatever. I don't know what. And she goes, yeah, buy plastic, live fantastic. And I was like, wow, that was good. That's good. And so anyway, but really there is a tremendous amount of benefit that plastic brings to everyday life. And I've done a ton of research, consumer research, with some of my colleagues at Nova. looking at consumer perceptions. And really, we've been able to look at consumer perceptions of how they've evolved post-COVID. And that's really been I don't even know, I would call it an unintended consequence of COVID, is that consumers have seen the value that plastics brings to everyday life. They've seen how plastic is making everyday life possible. And that's the true benefit of what we are in this sort of scenario, because 12, 15 months ago, that messaging of the positives of plastic was not resonating with consumers, where now it is. And it's a critical point. And I really believe that right now is a critical point for brands to be promoting on pack the benefits of plastic, because now that messaging is resonating, and the consumer research that we've been doing is showing that.
Yep. I currently sit on as the chair for the Society of Plastics Engineers Mold Technology Division.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wrote a little thing yesterday talking about, if 2020 did anything for us, right? You can sit there and be a doom and gloomer all you want to, but 2020 really showed the world that plastic is beneficial, right?
Yeah.
Look at all the PPE that's been created. Look at the testing kits. Look at the masks. Look at respirators. All that stuff is because of our industry, right? This industry stepped up in ways that nobody thought they could do it, especially in the United States, right? Where manufacturing was dead. We made more hand sanitizer bottles, more caps and closures, more masks, more everything in a minute's notice. And if you know anything about manufacturing, it takes years to develop products sometimes.
Exactly.
And getting all the right stuff. And as a country, as an industry, we were able to just make a huge impact.
Yeah.
And so my call to action for this is exactly what you said. Start getting people to tell their stories. Start getting them to share how they made an impact, because we made a huge impact, not just in our communities, but in our country and in the world with the things that we were able to do. So, it's critically important to start sharing that stuff and tell people what's going on to get that anti-plastic sentiment. You hear too many stories about the sea turtle with the straw in his nose, but you don't hear the successes about how all the IV bags or whatever else it is making things better for people.
Yeah. No, and just think about, I'd ask anybody to go into a grocery store and tell me how that grocery store existed before, and now look at how grocery stores have evolved, and plastic is making, like, just use the olive bar inside of a grocery store. Like, it was just a huge big tub and you'd go and you'd put it in a plastic tub. But now everything's prepackaged. So everything there's a whole lot more that goes into it. And just overall protection, being able to get all of those products on the shelf in a sanitary way and in a cost-effective and environmentally friendly way without plastic would be impossible. And I think just looking at the distribution of the vaccine, people are like, for so long have just been, we're going to get the vaccine and it'll just, I was like, think about it this way. Think about if every single person needed a special Oreo and all the ingredients that needed to come together, and it needed to be refrigerated, and it needed to be administered. You could only have one Oreo 1 week, and then you'd have to have another one 2 weeks later. Like, that whole process, like, it's not as easy as you would assume, but plastic and packaging in general is making the overall feasibility of that possible in so many different ways.
And it's, I think what we know, right, in this cancel culture is if somebody doesn't like it, then everybody has to hate it. And it's so hard to have a positive spin on things to get that narrative started. And it starts with people actually sharing those stories. So everybody is going to jump on the hate and how awful something is. And it takes a lot longer to get that ball rolling with the positivity side of things and sharing those impact stories and the things that we're able to do and accomplish and get through to people. Because it's just easier to hate something.
Yeah, it's easier to maybe jump on board than it is to stand out and stand up. And it's easy to get misinformed, and the misinformation that is out there. I mean, the straws are the perfect example. I mean, that's a 10-year-old's math in England that created the whole straw movement. I mean, do plastic companies, do we want to see plastic straws in the ocean? Do we want to see turtles and wildlife? No, no. And are we doing everything that we can to make a change? 100%. But you got to understand that there's reasons why plastic has been winning from a standpoint of providing sustainable solutions and making products which everyday consumers consume possible. And plastic has been key to that. And by no means do I think that we can put our head in the sand and say we're doing everything we can. We still have to do better. We still have to get better. We still have to find ways to enable a circular economy. That's really what it's all about, is about enabling a circular economy. But the misinformation is what creates just movement to different materials, different products that aren't necessarily sustainable, aren't necessarily the best solution, but companies make the move towards those to satisfy a group. But is that really satisfying the ultimate goal? What we all should be working towards is a circular economy.
And what I would say is, I think if you asked 100% of people, right, 100% of people would say that they would like things to be more recyclable, right? They would want more sustainability. 100, I would go on record and say 100% of the people would be for that.
Right.
But what happens is we got to get the consumer to realize what that means, right? Which means that you may not have something that's pure white, and you got to be okay with that.
Right.
You may have something with some color imperfections. It's not going to be the exact Pantone color that you want, and you have to be okay with that. You have to realize that the cost might go up a little bit because now our companies have to invest in the technology to figure out how to do all those things. And we all have to be engaged in it. You can't sit on the outside and say, I want all the plastic to be sustainable. I want it to be all recyclable, but I'm still not willing to spend extra money for it. And it better be perfect. It's just not, it's not fair. And there's got to be a give and take on that and some understanding of what that actually means. Ryan Delahanty from Gardner Business Media is watching with us. And, I would love to see them do a story in all their magazines that talk about that. And maybe even get it out to some of the mainstream magazines. They have the know-how. They know the people. Come on, Ryan, get on this. And tell that story. Tell the story like we were talking about with what goes into making testing and all that stuff, and let people know what plastic actually does for them.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, the key kind of approaches that I've really been one of the key focuses since I came to Nova, was really getting as close as we possibly can to the consumer to understand their unmet need and understand their perceptions and why they think the way they do about plastic, so that if we understand that, we understand how we may need to change, or we need to educate. And it really starts with education. But I think just maybe a little bit of a step back is the comment you made in regards to paying a little more. And while I think that 100% we do need, there is going to be an impact from a cost perspective on that individual product. What we have to be cognizant of is that there is a significant majority of the overarching population, which accounts for about 75% of the domestic U.S. population has a household income of less than $100,000.
Yep.
That could be a household of 6. That could be a household of 10. But about, I mean, it's close to 40%, somewhere around there. That's less than 50. So when you increase the overall price of a product, it's you can't. You've got to do it with the whole consumer base in mind.
Yeah, and I would agree with that.
And but yeah, I think the story needs to be told, and that's one of the key things that through the work that I'm doing with so I'm the chairman of the Emerging Leadership Council for the Flexible Packaging Association.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
And we're one of the key things is about that education, getting that story out. And if you think about when you were growing up or when I was growing up, it was all about stop smoking, don't smoke. And that was ingrained and burned into our head. And then what do we do with that message? We take that home and we spread that like wildfire to our parents and to anybody whose parents smoked. I mean, you pushed how bad smoking was. And that is kind of where we are with plastic. That message is, we'll call it, there's a lot of probably discussion and push within schools to talk about why plastic is bad and why you should use paper or whatever. But I'm all about, we need to be going into these schools to create the education, to give them the education, to also enable them to be able to recycle, to have recycling of flexible plastic materials in the schools, because then they begin to see the positives and the benefits of plastic, and they begin to see what it means to be a part of a circular economy where materials are being turned into something else. That one of the biggest things that I get amped up about is the discussion around single-use plastic. No plastic should be single use. All plastic should have another life, should have multiple lives. And that's what we have to be pushing forward with and towards.
Yep. And I think it's cyclical too, right? Like I remember when you probably remember it too, when you would go to the grocery store, our parents would be asked, is plastic okay? Because we want to stop using paper because of cutting down the trees.
Yeah, exactly.
And now apparently trees don't matter anymore.
Exactly.
Because now people want to use wood fibers and bamboo and all these different things when they're making stuff, which is great for other options, right? But there was a time where plastic was, you should use plastic, it's better for the environment. And now it's going back to.
I remember having t-shirts and that was all about save the trees and save the toucans. It used to be about save the toucans, and now it's about save the turtles. And it is, you're completely right. It is cyclical. But I think as an industry, we need to take this on as take a negative and turn it to a positive.
Agreed.
Use this to make us better. Use this as how we advance and how we continue to progress forward.
And you have to do that with everything, right? We talked about it earlier. You have to take those lumps, you have to get better, and you have to improve. Corey Cunningham on LinkedIn says, what are you most curious about in regards to your customers, 1, and 2, the employees that you lead?
So I guess
thank you, Corey.
Most curious about in regards to customers is what are their objectives and aligning with where they want to be. And I think it's probably similar with people. I've been very transparent when I go out and recruit students at universities across the country. My number one goal is to hire somebody that's one day going to be my boss. Because if
that's awesome.
I've done that, then that is a definition of true leadership. That's the definition of progression and making sure that I'm going to continue to be challenged and they feel capable, but also to create the path for them. That's the way I look at people. But really with regard to customers is being enabling them to feel a level of transparency and clarity, to know that they can share things with me or with people within Nova, and know that we're going to have their back and we're going to support them in making sure that we help them to achieve what they've set out to do.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. And I would agree with you. I would echo it that, what I'm most curious about our customers is one, what do they need more of from us, right? How do I serve them better?
Yeah.
I I don't know. I would love to know. I would love for them to give me a review every year of what I can do better for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's our whole goal, is trying to serve our customer better and make a difference in their lives and a positive impact.
Right.
And it would be the exact same thing for the employees and the team that we have here. When we do reviews, it's a review on the person as much as it is a review on us as
Right.
leaders and as a company.
Right.
And one of the biggest questions we ask is, what can I do better for you? What do you need? What do you need to be more successful in your job? What are your goals? What do you want to do? And how do we get you there?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times people just need that voice, and they may not know, right? I mean, even
Right.
at 24, 25, 28, 30 years old, you may not know what you want to do next. You may just want to try something new. I mean, you don't know if you don't ask.
Yeah, and you brought up the term positively and impact, and that's my mission. My wife probably would make fun of make she doesn't she said would say that people would make fun of me when I say this, but my other big life goal is to positively impact people's lives. Because
Yep.
if I'm positively impacting my customers' lives, Nova's going to succeed.
Yep.
If I'm positively impacting the people that I work with, or who I've hired or whomever, if they're positively impacted, we're going to be progressing and we're going to be moving forward, and we're going to be moving forward together. And it's the same way with my wife. I hope that every day that I'm bringing positive impact to her life or to my kids' life, because that's what I want to be, and that's how I make sure to be that positive impact to help them be better and me at the same time.
And that has to go out from everything, right? Rich says the info is good, right? Getting the info and the feedback from people is good, but the action that follows is what's important. And I would agree. If you just take that in and you don't act on it, then people think you don't care. If you didn't know in the first place is one thing, but if you actually know and you do nothing, that really it's a nail in the coffin. You're in inactivity. I listened to a church in Colorado called Flatirons, and what they've been saying is blessed people bless people. And that's pretty much how it is, right? If you can make an impact in somebody's life and you can bring some positivity to them, there's a good chance they're going to take that and carry it on to the next person, right? Uh, paying it forward kind of idea.
Right.
And that's what I want here at our work and for our industry. I want people smiling and happy and wanting to come to work. We spend way too much time at work to not like it.
Yeah.
And the only way you do that is to actually get to know people and open up to them and be transparent, be authentic. We're back to that again, right? And just and being true. And I think, like we said in the beginning, there's so much stigma about having to be the strong, secure person that knows everything. And it's so freeing to walk in and go, I don't know anything. I just want to make sure that I can help you out in some way.
Well, and that's I did a video last year where I talked about there's incredible power in being okay with asking for help, because everybody doesn't have the answers. Everybody doesn't know where and how and what. And so you've got to be comfortable with saying I need help, and no one can fault you for that. And I think that is one of the most important things, is being comfortable with saying I need help. But to Rich's point, I think he hit it 100% on the head, is that if you do nothing with the information you're given, it's worthless. And that conversation was worthless. And you could say that you're there, that you want to help, but unless and it's two-sided, because if somebody were to say, well, I want more training in an area, and they get that training, but they do nothing with it,
Right.
that's where you've got to take advantage of what you get.
Yep.
But the leaders who extend the olive branch and get the feedback but do nothing with it, that's the thing that is unfortunate. And I think the best are the ones that take the feedback, take the perspectives, and use it to be better. Those are the best.
Yeah. And, to your point about asking for help, I think, again, it's two-sided. You can have somebody that asks for help, but you better have the leadership in place that appreciates that they asked for help instead of just trying to do it on their own.
Right.
I think the old school mentality, and we don't have much of it here anymore. I think there's always that lingering thing because, you got to haze the new guy and, the apprentice or whatever. And you want them to know what they know. And not everybody likes to teach. And you have to embrace people when they don't know and they ask you a question. You have to understand that they don't know yet and help them to understand and help them to get better and give them the encouragement and the feedback that they need so that they can help the next person. And, I would much rather have somebody waste 10 minutes, not waste is a bad word, take 10 minutes of my time and their time to ask if they're doing it correctly or exactly what I meant or how to do it, than try to do it on their own and screw something up real bad.
Yeah. I would say one of the things that I talk about is embrace the why. So
Yes.
people oftentimes will get upset or adverse to somebody ask, well, why do we do it that way? And my thought is embrace somebody asking why,
Right.
because maybe them asking why gives you a reason to think about why you do something a little bit more. And is asking why always the right way to approach? No, but really, I think there's a lot of things and a lot of processes and a lot of approaches to why companies or why industries do things a certain way, that asking why to think a little bit more in depth and to really digest somebody from an outside perspective, bringing that in, there's a lot of value to that.
And honestly, that's one of the things. So going back to inclusion, right? We hired your friend Vanessa, who's going to come on and be a sales associate with us.
Yep.
She doesn't know anything with our industry. She's got a sales background. And part of the interview process and talking to her was pretty much this. So I'm managing the sales department. I haven't done it for a very long time. I don't have all the answers on what I'm doing. You've been selling longer than I have. If you come in and you see that we're doing something that you don't really understand, or you think maybe we should try something different, tell me.
Yeah.
I do not believe we have a culture of because I said so, right?
Yeah.
There has to be a better reason than that. And it's the way that you grow and you get better by welcoming those opinions, welcoming those ideas, and just being open to it.
Yeah, and that's why I have a genuine appreciation for that, and that's why I get so amped up over the idea that every time we're hiring somebody, they have to be this cookie cutter. They've been in sales for 15 years and they've been selling they've been selling stand-up pouches for 15 years and they know stand-up pouches. No, because it's not rocket science.
Right.
We need people with the intangibles. We need people with the get up and go. We need people with the desire, the passion, the enthusiasm to make it happen. Because those are the characteristics, those are the traits that you can't teach. And the best of teachers can teach you what you need to know about stand-up pouches. And are you going to be out the gates a subject matter expert? No, but you can get there. And it's like with Vanessa, and we talked about this. She has all those intangible skills. She has that get up and go. She has that drive. She has the ability to have a conversation and the ability to build relationships that you can't teach.
Right.
And that's going to be the value that I'm so excited for her to be a part of your team and for your customers to begin to see that. And I think overall the industry can learn from those sorts of actions.
Yeah. I learned it from, Hillary and Ray Coombs when I went and saw them at Westminster, and when they were telling me that they hire for character and they teach skill. And, it's a huge difference than, when Mary Kate, who helps in our marketing, started, she had her resume and she had her cover letter and she had her transcripts. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't look at any of it because I wanted to talk to her and see if the engagement was good, see what her attitude was on things, to just see how we got along.
Yeah.
Because that's the person that I want to work with. Great, you got all A's in school. I'm very proud of you. That's awesome. But if you can't carry on a conversation, you can't take on challenges, you can't do those things, but you just happen to be really smart, that's harder to work with. You got to be a good person that you want to work with, and would be a good reflection of your company on the world.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was very fortunate that you actually knew her, and were able to put in a good word, and that she'll be starting on Monday. So hopefully people will start seeing her face with an Alliance brand next to it, and it'll be good.
No, I'm pumped for her. I'm pumped for you guys. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for both of you. And yeah, I just my words of encouragement to the industry is do it like Alliance does it. I mean, you guys are doing it right. You guys are doing what we need to progress our industries, is to bring others along for the ride. And that's the excitement. That's going to create the energy, the passion, the enthusiasm for generations to come, because we can't just go out and expect that we can just keep hiring the same old, and forgive me to all the blue shirt, black shoe wearing guys out there, but we've got to make sure that we're embracing everybody.
Of course. And it's going to take the people who are a little bit different to embrace standing out and doing that and getting some attention and recognition. So what is we're going on an hour, which is awesome. I love how long these conversations go. Some people stay the whole time. Some people tune in and out. I don't care. I just like talking to you. So what is Friday by the Fire?
Yeah, so I'm going to be probably recording Friday by the Fire in the rain today, but it's this new thing that I've started, and I've been recording videos and creating content walking through airports, because that's always what I've been doing. But now I've started just hanging out by the fire in my backyard, and talking about what's going on. And just trying to really keep a positive outlook, to have and create a way to have some engagement, have conversations. And so last week was really talking about how 2021 did not get off to the way I think anybody could have expected it to, with everything that happened in Washington, D.C. and everything. So just trying to start to pivot to look at what everybody has to be excited about in 2021. And one of the key messages that I've had in the last few videos is really asking everybody to continue to stay positive and test negative, and really trying to keep our eyes forward and progressing.
I like that. Stay positive, test negative. That's good. You're going to have all these t-shirts: buy plastic, live fantastic, be positive, stay negative. Like, all these things are going to catch on.
Hopefully.
I
I'm gonna have a lot of t-shirts for my kids to wear or something.
Yeah. I started looking at it and I started writing a thing, and I couldn't figure out how to finish it. But, perfect vision is supposed to be 2020, right? Like that's the standard. You got 2020 vision.
2020 vision.
And I think 2020 to most people would be anything other than perfect. But yeah. I think I'm trying to take a look at it, right, and have that gratitude for what it was, and realize that it may be the perfect year that we needed to get us out of the muck that we were stuck in. And so it's real easy to hate it and say it was awful. It's a different thing to say it was perfect. That year was perfect. Do we think it was perfect right now? But no, but rarely you do. A lot of times you look back on it and you go, that totally worked out the way it was supposed to. And in the moment, it's awful.
Isn't I don't have glasses. I mean, I had glasses in third grade, but that was because I wanted glasses, so I kind of faked it so that I could get glasses, and I faked it too bad that the prescription was too strong and I got headaches. And so anyway, I don't need glasses. I just wanted to be cool and have glasses in second grade. But anyway, but isn't it if you have like 20/20, or if you have like 23/20, or isn't that like that's more than perfect vision, isn't it?
I think so.
So that's the way I'm looking at I'm just taking a pivot off of what you just said and saying that 2020 was what we needed to create a clearer vision for us all. To have that reality check for 2021 and beyond, to create that more clear everyday life, or whatever, however you want to. I'm just kind of word vomiting out ideas right now, but anyway.
No, I agree. It's easy. It's so easy, like we talked about earlier, to complain about what was and what is and what's happening. It's a different thing to look at what is and what's happening and make it better. And it doesn't have to be awful because everybody around you says it's awful. You can make it better for everybody around you so they think it's better.
Right. Yeah, like I said, I've embraced the change, embraced the being here and being with my kids every day and my wife every day, because never would that have happened. I mean, my wife probably doesn't wish that we would have been able to eat dinner together so many consecutive days, but that's been the upside to it, and the value, and it's something that I never got as a kid. I never got a year straight of hanging out with my parents.
Nope.
And my siblings, and now we've got that. We've got something that, like you said, people have said they wanted more time with the family. Well, we got it. We got it. So use it, embrace it, love it.
Yeah. All right, man. I got through everything I wanted to get through. You got anything else you want to add? This is a very formal way to end conversations, but hey, I'm me.
No, I appreciate it. And if there's anybody out there that I can do anything to help, I'm always here. Reach out, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. You can find me, J Quinn Packaged, and I'm always here to help.
Yeah. How do people watch your Friday Fires?
Friday by the Fire?
Yeah.
It will be, I posted on my LinkedIn.
Okay. So go out, follow Jonathan on LinkedIn, or and on Instagram, on all the things. He's there, and get another dose of positivity, because the world is full of anger, and instead of feeding into that, just take something different, take something in that will bring some positivity and some light to your life. So we always end this show with a prayer. I don't know if you have any prayer requests. I don't know if anybody listening has any prayer requests. If you do, you can put them in the chat, or I'll give it a hot second and we can just get through it. But I mean, I honestly, I appreciate all the time that you take today, and just how open you are, and not closed off. You are keynote speakers at these events, and I'm sure you get bombarded with things, and you don't always get what you think you're going to get. And with you, it's just a genuine person, and someone that genuinely wants to help people and see people succeed, not because you're going to get something else out of it, because they're going to be successful, and it's rare and appreciated. So thank you.
No, I appreciate it.
My wife says she's going to pray for my suffering.
She's going to pray for your what?
My suffering. We have a joke that if people don't have something to pray for, you need to pray for their suffering so that they can have growth. So if your life is too good, you got to pray for suffering. But all All right, I'm gonna pray for us real quick, and then we'll get out of here. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for my friend Jonathan and all that he does to make an impact on the world around us. Thank you for his light in a dark world. We just pray that people would get some positivity out of today, that they would be lifted, and maybe their day would be a little bit better. We thank you for all the opportunities you give us to talk, to share, to grow. We thank you for our businesses. We pray for our country, our leaders, and all the people in it. And we thank you for everything you do for us, whether it's good or bad. We know that you've got a plan. And we thank you. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Jonathan, thank you, my friend.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. I really, really do.
I'm going to have to my goal is to make a trip out to see you, and we can do a Friday by the fire.
You got it.
So we'll be in contact. You can steer me in the right direction with some people to go talk to. We'll make it a trip, and we'll end it on a Friday with a beer and a fire.
That sounds fantastic.
All right, let's make it happen.
All right.
Thank you, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. I just want to thank you once again for listening to our Chat and Chow and being part of our show. I know we haven't done it in a while, and I really want to get back to doing more of it. So if you enjoyed it at all, do me a favor. Share it with somebody. Tell them what it's all about, and invite them to watch the next one. If you'd like to be a guest, send me a message. You can email me at tony@alliancelasersales.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, any of those things. I would love to have you on the show, hear your story, and allow you to be positivity in somebody else's world. So on behalf of myself, Alliance Specialties in Laser Sales, and Jonathan Quinn, I just want to say thank you again for watching. Take care, and God bless.